Automating the repetitive work of feeding and feed pushing saves a lot of time and makes your daily routine more flexible. You can focus on other important tasks and increase the feeding frequency at the same time. Feeding more frequently has a proven positive effect on overall animal health, growth, and milk production. Mixing the right rations in the right quantities and feeding them at the right moment requires knowledge, understanding, and time. The Lely Vector automatic feeding system takes over the day-to-day feeding of the herd, ensuring the utmost efficiency while improving animal health. The system consists of two main parts: the feed kitchen, where the feed is stored, selected, and loaded, and the mixing and feeding robot that mixes the feed, pushes the feed, measures the average feed height per animal group, and feeds the animals when and where needed. The kitchen is an open space without obstacles where you can store multiple types of feed. Every feed type has its own storage place, which is easy to define and to change if needed. Properly ensiled roughage remains fresh for days because it's stored in blocks and there is enough room to stock feed for up to 3 days in advance. The feed grabber, or tower silos, provide the opportunity to select many different feed types, even in small batches for small animal groups. The feed grabber always grabs from the highest point, estimates the weight, and learns by itself how deep it must maneuver to grab the correct quantity. It loads the various components in the desired order to decrease the time and energy needed for the optimal mixing result. The mixing and feeding robot follows metal strips to navigate between the feed kitchen and the barns. Inside a barn, it follows walls and feed fences at the required distance. This offers you a lot of flexibility to adapt your farm and barn layout. When the robot arrives at the animal group that needs fresh feed, the sliding door opens and the distributor, together with the vertical auger, distributes the feed. Based on the amount of feed in the mixing and feeding robot and the distance it needs to drive, the weighing system adjusts the driving speed for an even distribution along the feed fence. When only well-cut or short particles of feed need to be distributed, for example when feeding calves or beef stock, the door can be partially opened. This ensures a more even and accurate distribution of the feed. It's also possible to combine several groups into one feed distribution, for example when feeding multiple pens on a beef farm. Driving along the feed fence before and after feeding an animal group, the robot pushes the feed for the other groups. While pushing, the feed height sensor measures the average feed height to check where and when fresh feed is needed. Extra rounds for feed pushing and measuring are performed in between the feeding rounds. Thanks to a smart way of mixing and the electric drive, the running costs are extremely low compared to conventional ways of feeding. Controlling the machine can be done easily through an app on your phone. Changing rations, feed types and feed settings, as well as monitoring and fine-tuning the results of your feeding strategy, can be done with the Lely T4C management program. This is the world's first complete business management system for milking and feeding and can be connected to most Lely equipment. It provides you with a total insight into your farm's performance and helps you make the right decisions. The combination of the proven principles of automatic feeding and our focus on animal health, reliability, and cost efficiency has resulted in an automatic feeding system that is ready for you. Bright farming is yours by choice.